You already know. That line of the beat. A mí me gusta la mota, saca la bolsa. We're breaking up the bud and we smoking on some bomb ass weed. We smoking on some bomb ass weed.
You already know what it is. Favorite sort of GQ to M Bus. 420 the Buzz. We got the Archbishop and of course Joey Lopez in the building. Man, gentlemen, before we always get started, we always have good conversation. I'm always like, once it gets to the grunt of it, I'm like, we gotta stop, we gotta record, we gotta document this shit. And one thing that we were in the middle of talking about, first and foremost, hello everybody. You know what I'm saying? Hope everybody's good out there in the world. Of course, to the trio, of course. You know what I'm saying? So I was reading on Marijuana Moment where Trump supports the marijuana movement, of course, and the legalization. But one thing that he is pushing for, which I don't know how you guys feel. Right now, I don't think it's a deal breaker. I don't think it's actually a bad idea. He's definitely trying to make sure that public smoking is banned. I mean, it's kind of harsh. I would say frowned upon or whatever. Only because he doesn't want this, everywhere to just smell like marijuana. And being someone that does travel quite frequently based on job related, duties, I can tell you that when I'm in certain states, it's like every other car that passes by, I smell it, and the smell of it is out there. Now, as a lover myself, it doesn't particularly bother me. However, there are people out there that could find a little bit more offense to it, and they don't want that to be an absolute influence on their children. So I can't knock them either. What are your feelings on that, guys?
I feel the same personally, man. I think we have to go back to when we were wanting it legalized. And I think that some of the things that we were saying, you know what I'm saying? This is for medicinal use. People choose to go with marijuana versus traditional chemical pharmaceuticals. It's a personal choice. You know what I'm saying? And then the law passes and then people take that to the next level and they just smoke wherever they want. They don't give 2 cents for where they're smoking it, who's around when they're smoking it. But I think that we have to maintain the integrity of the thought process initially when we got things passed. And I think that it is for personal use, but when you're using it out in public, it's not personal anymore. Now it's public. And I think that and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying anything negative at all about cannabis. I think that, seriously, we've built our careers around what cannabis can do.
Right.
But when we push our beliefs on other people, namely children, right? That's when you influence the choices that they're going to make throughout life. And I think that for the most part, the brain develops until you're, 22, 25 years old. And anytime you introduce any substance, whether it's a chemical, pharmaceutical, marijuana, alcohol, anything that can adjust the way that your brain makes chemicals that can mess with your homeostasis, which is the balance of the chemicals, throughout your body, bringing you balance as a whole. I think that the earlier the age that you're exposed to any of those chemicals, the more likely your brain is not to fully develop to its capacity. And so when we take our belief in our freedom and we introduce that to people that seriously, their thought process is they want to play with Barbies and watch, G.I. Joe or whatever, man. And then now they're exposed to that smell and they see that it's just okay, which it is. It's legal. It's totally okay. Alcohol is okay. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of things that are legal that are okay, but that doesn't mean that we should offer a 10-year-old a beer or, whatever. And so I think that what we don't want to do now that we have more states coming on board with cannabis legalization, I do not think that we should take that to the extreme and make it so that people are going to come out and say, look what we did, and make it look like a mistake. Because eventually we're going to come across people that have a whole lot of money, man, more than the pharmaceutical companies, and something is going to offend them, and they have nothing but money and time to make it harder for us by writing legislation and laws that restricts our use and our ability to use cannabis, whether it's privately in our home or publicly. And I promise you, that legislation will start popping up that's going to be far more restrictive than just not smoking it in public if we keep pushing, what it is our passion and our belief on other people, especially people that are young Americans, right?
Yeah.
Like of all backgrounds. It doesn't matter who you are, what your ethnicity is, what your background is. They should be focused on the things that kids should be focused on. And when we introduce adult subjects to children at the wrong age, then we can negatively influence our next generation. So I think that I'm all about Trump being all about marijuana, right? In Florida and in the United States. I can't wait till it goes recreational legal in all 50 states, which is how it should be anyway. I mean, this is a plant, man. It just is a very extraordinary plant that does a whole lot of things for a whole lot of people. And so, but nonetheless, we've come this far. And the more we try to push the limits of it, the more it's going to start to retract backwards, and it just hurts the cause. That's my opinion. Joey, what do you think?
And I can completely appreciate that, especially at your level, Jimmy, to opine on legislature and, laws and what, as you foresee it. I know in Albany, it got very, very granular, and that was a big part of the bill, was about usage, where to, who can. And then, so of course, one side of the aisle against the other side of the aisle is talking about, well, if one community, all they have as far as privacy is, multifamily apartment buildings and, more of a communal type living compared to another community that has single family detached homes with, lot lines that are, you got yards and that sort of privacy. What's the difference? And are we restricting one community over the other, calling one person's usage private is not so private compared to the other community? It gets that way. And I guess my observation, having been through that whole thing in Albany and New York, my observation really is just like everything else. When somebody talks about constitutional rights and they talk about our privileges, rights, and stuff like that, I hope we all grow up. I hope we all regain, not retain, regain our moral compass in this country of ours. We're obviously sharing it with a lot of new people and whatnot. And we need to grow up because, all of us here grew up in either the 70s or the 80s. We remember tobacco, smoking, right? We remember somebody smoking in a car, right? Right there. If you saw someone smoking in a car today with kids in there, somebody would, want to send them to jail. But that was just how it was, We didn't feel like we were hurting anybody. I definitely didn't get hurt. I don't think I did, as a child. So we just need, again, morals need to come back in place. So without, jumping on a soapbox, we just need to be responsible. It is medicine. Why are we medicating? Is it, a communal type tribal thing, which is beautiful, but, remember the kids and just keep all that in perspective. So that's my thing. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, man. And that's very respectable, man. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. I think we're all in agreement, man. Like, we got what we wanted. Now let's make it better and not make it harder.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because also just thinking outside the box a little bit here, man, there's states that it's still not legal at all, medicinally or recreationally. There's still states where people are actually going to jail for this. And so with those states, look at us for guidance. Back in the day when I was working with Oklahoma on, the hemp laws, and I was doing like Facebook Lives and educational sessions with DAs and sheriffs and medical professionals, and I was fighting for our cause collectively, everybody on here, everybody who's watching this, like I was in the trenches, like battling for you, man. And the one thing that the Oklahoma lawmakers that I was working with were talking about were like, well, look what happened here. Yeah. Look what happened here. This happened, and whatever. And I think it's not funny, but it's a fact that when Colorado, on the 1st of January of 2014, when they introduced the recreational marijuana legislation that passed and it went into effect, there were places in Charlotte, in Miami, in Los Angeles, in San Francisco that were rounding up homeless people and then giving them the option to go to jail because apparently being homeless is illegal or at least it was for a minute, or giving them a bus ticket to Denver. And then they sent everybody there on the federal dollar, man. And by the way, when they got there, the federal government was like, look what happened to homelessness in Colorado after they passed marijuana, and they're avidly against it. And not so much, but I mean, for decades and decades and decades, they were, to the point to where they're rounding up people that are homeless and sending them there to give the public the perception that homelessness skyrocketed, right? Yeah. So these are the types of people that we were playing with, man. These are the types of people we're playing with. And we have to not play with those types of people. We need to keep those people off our court and definitely out of our state. And the only way to do that is to do things the right way, so that when these other states are trying to pass their laws, that they don't look at Florida or Oklahoma or wherever and say, look how horrible marijuana is, right? We want to say, look at how much marijuana is generated in tax money. Look how many new schools got built. Look how many kids got new MacBooks to take home to be able to do their homework that were paid for.
Right.
Right, dude. That's exactly right. And so those are the type of stories we want people talking about. We do not want people talking about the stories where all this bad stuff happens after marijuana has been legalized. No, those things have always existed. You're just choosing to address them now and blame it on this plant that has helped millions of people worldwide for a very, very long time. And now it's starting to get mainstream as a medicine, because it is a medicine. Joey, to your point, you're 100% right. This plant is a medicine. We're going to talk about that a little bit on the podcast today, about what makes this plant a medicine outside of just the cannabinoids. But you're right. It is medicine. We have to treat it that way. We can go and buy a bottle of acetaminophen at the store. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now we can go out and get marijuana at a dispensary.
Yeah.
But man, I tell you what, like we really want to put our best foot forward and pushing marijuana in the faces of those that don't necessarily believe in it, understand it, will give the wrong impression.
Yeah.
And it's going to hurt the state there yet. That's what we don't want to do. These are our brothers and sisters, man.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff is just people that don't really know. You know what I'm saying? They've been pushed that propaganda for so long that you're just like, well, the government's got to know what they're talking about. This stuff has to really kill brain cells, and it has to be a gateway drug. And you know what I'm saying? And then you're like, okay, do you believe in everything that the government tells you? No. So then why are you picking and choosing on what you should trust? You know what I'm saying? It feels good, so then you say, okay, I'll go with it. I
just want to be like, did you get vaccinated?
Yeah. Right, exactly. Oh, yeah. And you know what's funny? A lot of them will say, oh, hell no, I'll never touch that. Okay, well, do the same thing. Everything you hear. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, my point is that the government said it was perfectly safe. So why wouldn't you? Right. So we just got to keep it off. We got to keep it out of the government's lane, dude. Let them focus on stealing taxpayer money and funding other countries, and, laundering and getting rich.
You know what's one of my points? One of my points with when I talk to somebody about the vaccination as opposed to the lethalness of marijuana, right? I'll say, are there any cases of anyone that dies from vaccines? And they're like, yeah, there are cases. Are there any cases of anyone dies from marijuana?
No, there's not.
I mean, there you go. Like, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? If they tell you that milk is fucking bad for you, your kids will be like, we're not touching that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just whatever they want to, whatever whatever hallway they want you to go to in their maze is they're going to influence you to go down that shit, man. So that's pretty much where it is for me.
I think that should segue into a little bit creating for a more educated consumer, a more educated patria, as in our countrymen, right? Because there still is very, very little information as it gets introduced into the mainstream. There's a lot of stigma still attached, of course, and that's the barrier to entry for a lot of people, especially if they find out that their son or daughter want to start smoking weed or something like that. The mom and dad or uncle, aunt, they should know, and they should be able to kick in little bits of information like what more and more people should understand. Ragweed doesn't exist anymore. And if it does, you shouldn't, you should know what you're smoking. This medicine is a Pandora's box of opportunity, but with that is a Pandora's box of knowledge that you should start listening to. There's not going to be a label on everything
Right.
like there are on white pills. And so what's out there, at least there can be some information that we can give as a community to start leading people down the right path. Like, I'd have to ask you, Jimmy, right off the bat, right? What's the difference between sativa and indica?
The biggest difference is the terpene profile and the flavonoid profile, but let's really focus on the terpenes because you have, here is cannabis. Under cannabis, you have marijuana and you have hemp, right? They're both cannabis plants. But Big Brother has given us the ability to define what is hemp and what is marijuana. And that definition is 0.30% THC dry weight. Right? So if you want to know what you can legally consume as far as THC goes in, say, an edible without breaking federal law, the numbers really just kind of break down to 10 milligrams for every 3.5 grams of weight. So if you have a gummy that is a 3.5 gram gummy, when you weigh it out, it can have up to 10 milligrams of THC and be federally compliant. But with that being said, the same THC that exists in marijuana exists in hemp. The molecular structure, everything is absolutely the same. So let's move hemp to the side for just 1 second and focus just on marijuana. The difference between sativas and indicas is a very complex variety of terpenes that exist in the plant, right? So the reason why some forms of marijuana, some strains of marijuana cause you to want to kick back, play Xbox, order dominoes, and throw down versus a strain of marijuana that makes you get up and want to go play tennis, basketball, go shopping, function in society and just be in a really great mood. It all boils down to the terpenes. And today, I know that we're going to explore the nature of the terpenes, which I think is very important for people to know. And we're going to discuss their effects on the human body when consumed in conjunction with cannabinoids, right? Your THCs, your CBDs, your CBGs, your CBNs. And I think it's important to go over this because it's going to help consumers make better informed decisions when they start going out and understanding the strains. And it's also very important to know that terpenes, much like the cannabinoids in the marijuana plant or the cannabis plant for that matter, you're going to get the hemp plant, you're gonna get way more terpenes in a hemp plant than you are in a marijuana plant because the THC and the terpenes, as the plant is going through its vegetative state when it's growing, and then when it stops growing because the light cycle changes and now it begins to flower.
So when
it does that, depending on the strain of the plant, the THC and the terpenes fight for the same common denominator. So the lower the THC in your strain, the higher your terpenes, right? And vice versa. If you have like a significantly high percentage of THC, you're going to have a significantly low percentage of terpenes because the THC beat them there. And this is all part of the cultivation techniques from your growers. And this is why it's so important to know what you're smoking.
Real quick, Jimmy,
right?
With that said, it's the terpenes that's getting you high, not the cannabinoids.
No. The okay, so, and it goes into the flowering stage, and the flower, otherwise known as the bud, right?
Yes.
Throwing it out there. I apologize for any of you that already know that. This is for people that need to know it, and so
that's right.
Okay, cool. So now when that happens, right, in the vegetative state, the primary cannabinoid that is there is CBGA, right? Cannagibrolic acid, right? But we're just going to say CBGA, forget the scientific name of it.
Right?
That I like to call it the stem cell cannabinoid, right? Because it is from that one cannabinoid that you will get THCA, CBGA, or CBDA, and CBCA. Right? And it's from those three, right, that you're going to get 125 other cannabinoids. So the A that is on the end is known as a carbolic acid. Okay, so CBD is not psychoactive. CBG is not psychoactive. CBN is what THCA turns into when it's over carboxylated or it gets old, or the THC gets old. But it's at this point in time, you could like take the most beautiful snowed on bud that you've ever seen in your entire life and eat it, and it'll never get you high because you have to change the molecular structure. So everybody out there is performing scientific responsibilities every time you roll up a blunt and apply fire, because when you apply fire, now you're going through the decarboxylation. So remember, the A on the end is the carbolic acid. To decarb the flower, right, is to remove the carbolic acid. And when you do that, the structure of the THCA then goes to delta 9, tetrahydrocannabinol, and that is the psychoactive primary psychoactive ingredient in marijuana. The terpenes really that's more of a more medicinal of a component to this plant than what you might think. And there are primary cannabinoids that are in the plant, like myrcene, pinene, limonene, linalool. And when we talk about going back to square one, before I get too ADD on this, the terpenes are what are the difference between what is a sativa and what is an indica. Because terpenes actually provide you with additional medicinal benefits like relaxation, antispasmodic, or increased focus and energy, depending on the terpene. And that's where the strain specific, they're taught the reason why it's important to pay attention to the strain is because unless you're just going out to get the highest concentration of THC possible so that you can just get squitted, dude, as fuck. Yeah. Like, and trust me, dude, like, we used to do that too. We just wanted to like get high, play like whatever, and just do whatever. But as you get older and you get more refined in your thought process, you start to really become more cultured when it comes to cannabis. And when you do, terpenes is something you pay a lot of attention to, because some people, based off of their own personal everything, is the person that just wants to like sit around and do nothing, right? They're very high energy, high impact, high focus. And for that, you would want a sativa.
Or Jimmy,
if you are,
or Jimmy, caveat here.
Or
here's why I'm leaving this, because I want, whether they be youth or 20-somethings, whatever you want to call them, all right, I want them to become more knowledgeable because, right, we've all heard of those, like, for example, okay, let's put it in the context of alcohol, which is legal everywhere, right, as long as you're 21. But when someone says, oh, my dude is a bad drunk, he's a mean drunk, right, or, you know, he's the life of the party, right? Well, that probably maybe lack of sleep or whatnot, but it has a lot to do with the characteristics or the persona of the drinker, right? That predisposition, right? So let me ask you, because again, my biggest fear is a child, a youth, someone of youthful age, falling into some sort of a smack hole, right? I had a girlfriend. She was a thinker. She was an intellect. She was a deep thought processor, critical thinker on everything. One night, she went out with her girlfriends. You know, she was from Queens and in the city one night. I wasn't with her. She smoked something. I mean, she became a zombie. Panic attack, fell down this hole. They sent her to the hospital. She was in and out, stress test, whatnot. And years, I think we dated for a year and a half. And her whole thing was, I just smoked weed. Why is it? How did this happen to me? Okay. And why didn't the puff pass for any of her girls? Why didn't it affect them that way? So that's why I'd like to get it out in the open. That's the knowledge that I want to impress upon people, so that they know going in, it's not for it's the same strain, same weed. Is not a one size fits all, right?
Right.
That is correct.
Wow. Great
and
point.
It really, like, okay, so I have kind of an answer for that, because, if you do not have anxiety, panic disorder, PTSD, general anxiety disorder, and you smoke too much weed, or maybe an edible, and you just continue, you're putting too many milligrams of THC in your body, one way or the other. It doesn't have to be smoking it. It is straight consuming it. When you consume it, it's even with the same number of milligrams as smoking it, it's going to be so much stronger because of the process it goes through in the liver. We can save that for a different show because I'll take up the whole hour on that and then add 3 more on top of that. So,
yeah.
But here's where it is for the people, right? So the endocannabinoid system, which consists of CB1 and 2 receptors, right, runs both through the central and peripheral nervous system. Your adrenal glands are loaded with CB1 receptors. THC adheres finely to CB1 receptors. So if you consume too much and you don't have that condition, you're going to be a little bit paranoid. But if you do have one of those conditions, man, like THC is very bad for you. It is not going to help you with your anxiety. It is not going to help you with your panic attacks. It's going to make them worse. And so the example that Joey gave with his ex-girlfriend, man, like the reason why that happened to her didn't happen to anybody else, assuming she was smoking the same shit. Because there are some deviant people out there, yo, and they're putting stuff on the flower, man, and people are rolling it up like primos, right? So you got a primo. That's when you put cocaine on top of marijuana, roll it in a blunt and smoke it. Okay. But fentanyl is out there now. Flocka is out there now. And there's just a ton of other things that people are mixing with it, man. Even in Get Him to the Greek, dude, you had Russell Brand and Jonah Hill smoking a Jeffrey. You know what I'm saying? Like, they just came out and said it. Like, what was in it, man? A little bit of hydrocodone, a little bit of morphine, a little bit of weed, mostly weed, whatever. And so when you smoke it, it's going to hit you bad. So let's just say that that was not the case with Joey's ex-girlfriend. Let's say that she was smoking the same shit everybody else was smoking, but that's the way it affected her. It is because on a clinical level, she has a chemical imbalance and it leads to general anxiety or panic or PTSD or something that causes her body to go into the fight or flight mode, because that's what happens when you smoke marijuana and it adheres to the CB1 receptors in your adrenal glands. Your body overproduces epinephrine and norepinephrine. And when your body's overproducing it, it gets into your bloodstream, and you might not be in a dangerous situation, but you're going to feel like you are in a life-threatening situation because it's the body's auto response.
How do you get out of it?
That is hooking that up. And an auto response is just that. Your body doesn't have to think about it. It is programmed to do it. Right. So when you start tickling your little adrenal glands and your amygdala and your prefrontal cortex is on a different planet and it can't communicate and slow everything down, then you're going to have a panic attack because of THC. And if you don't know and you decide to go eat a 100 milligram edible, good night, bro. That's when you're going to the hospital, man. That's when you're going to the hospital.
That's when you really trip.
That's when you're seriously tripping, dude.
Yeah.
And some people, man, go into psychosis for 2 to 3 weeks.
bro.
Yeah.
And because the body just does not, it just goes into fight or flight mode, and you feel like you're going to have a heart attack. You feel like you're going to have a stroke. You feel like you just know you're going to die, right? Yeah. You know you're going to die. But in reality, you're not going to die. Marijuana doesn't cause people to die, but taking too much of it can make you go crazy. So even temporarily, because of the way that the body adheres to it, it's not about getting as absolutely high as you possibly can. It's about finding that cool level and just being able to function in society and not have violent thoughts and not have crazy thoughts and not have suicidal thoughts, because that is not what this medicine is for.
Right.
Is Joey still?
I'm here.
Yeah. Joey, what were you gonna say? What was you said even after? What was going on with your ex-girlfriend?
She confessed to me. She confessed to me, and she said, and this is very dark, but I think it's important we bring it up because, of course, when we go legal, when it go recreational, it's going to become ubiquitous, right? Especially out of the gates, right? Yeah. Because it's just the thing to do. She literally told me.
People feel like they got time to make up for it.
Yeah. She literally told me she wished it had, she wished she had died. And because her life became so dark. I mean, we couldn't.
What was that?
What's that?
You couldn't.
Did you just beep at me?
No. So it got dark. She just couldn't get back to that same place that she was before.
Bro, we couldn't be in the movies. We could. She lived out in Queens,
Can
right?
you hear me?
I was in Manhattan.
Yeah, we hear you.
So
good.
when
Okay.
she was,
Because it looked like you were saying something, but now it looks like Joey might be
talking.
saying something.
Yeah,
yeah.
Am I behind a little bit?
So you would. No, you're fine on my end. You're perfect. So you'd go to the movie theaters and she started tripping because it was dark?
Because she felt claustrophobic, right? We couldn't. One time we were going through the Lincoln Tunnel.
Shit.
She went bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those fucking stop the car and we can't stop here. There ain't no fucking way.
Exactly. So it literally got her claustrophobic. It got her all the isms she took on. And that's why she would start crying. Wow. All I did was smoke weed. Why is this happening? That is my thing, in that it's not a one size fits all. And I just want everybody to know, because it is medicine, it should be kept sacred, right? I think, again, yes, you're having fun or whatnot, but as far as doing it to cover something up, to medicate something, why are you medicating? What are you medicating for?
Yeah.
Because it is medicine. I take it very, very seriously, coming from my angle. I believe in ancestral medicine, and I know that, it is something that we body versus another, one persona versus another, one experience versus another. And that's, like me, I maintain control, right? I don't like to be out of control.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
I don't like to be out of control.
Yeah, I'm the same. I wish we can get her on the show for a brief moment to say, hey, what's it been like now? Because I'm sure after that she probably never touched that thing.
Most likely.
You got the best life. Well, I think me and Jimmy would be like, I'm at the search in the crevice for that number. I don't even know that's a good idea for my life. Jimmy's like, I'll ask my wife. Hey, you remember the girl that I met before you? And yeah, that's awesome. You're the best. Yeah, because I'm interested to know, what's it been like? Because I'm gonna be real, man. That's the first and only person I've ever heard of. It's been more like a temporary thing. Like, I've gotten high where I'm at the bus stop in the Bronx years ago, and I'm over here like, oh man, I am fucking tripping right now. Like, holy shit. Like, I'm paranoid. My fucking breathing's different. I'm starting to catch the sweats. It's dead of winter. You know what I'm saying? I'm waiting for the bus, but I recognize it. I'm like, I'm just fucking tripping. I'm super fucking high. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And let it be what it was going to be. And the next day I wake up and I'm like, all right, I'm good. I feel a little groggy, but let me roll up. You know what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't nothing for me. You know what I'm saying? So for her, though, it's probably because I have met one other person similar to that story, where they describe they thought they were going to die. The same thing was my ex-boss. He thought he was going to die. After that, he said he never smoked weed again. And then devoted his life to Christ. Literally. Yeah.
Genesis 1:20, bro.
Yeah,
Genesis 1:20.
Yeah, kid you not, man.
Plants and seeds, earth is food. But you know what? Here's the thing too, man. Like, for me, mine came like that. Like, I used to smoke, dude, go play tennis. I would work in the yard. I would not ever get high and go to work, dude. To me, that was just like, I tried one time, man. I had an admin and she convinced me that, it was cool to smoke at lunch and I'm the boss. So, I mean, nobody else is there that I'm going to have to hear their mouth. You know what I'm saying? But I tried it and got to work, pulled up an Excel spreadsheet, and it was like laughing at me, dude. It was like hating. And I was just like, all these numbers, bro. And it's like, I'm a business analyst, bro. So when I look at it, man, like, I should be able to identify it. Nope. But there was one period of time, man, I had a 107 fever for like 26 days, and it ruined my sympathetic nervous system, which, by the way, is what your adrenal glands are connected to, which, by the way, is the system that controls that. And the parasympathetic nervous system controls when you have, fight or flight. Like, if you're really in a fight or flight situation, man, you're in a car accident, you're upside down, you smell gas, you see fire, your body goes straight into fight or flight mode, man. Like, your pupils dilate, your bronchial tubes dilate, you can breathe better, your heart beats faster, you lose your peripheral vision, and you just become focused on how to get the fuck out of that situation because you want to live, right? Yeah. Well, what happens when you're having a panic attack is all those feelings happen, but nothing's wrong. And so when I started tripping about 6 months after I got out of the hospital, and I couldn't figure out what it was, man. My heart started freaking out. Thought for sure I was going to either have a stroke or a heart attack. And I hadn't smoked any weed because I had to be on these pharmaceuticals, man, which I hate so much, dude. Vancomycin, bro. That drug is the devil. But anyway, forget all that. I was on it. And then I thought, you know what? Like when I feel that way, I'm just going to smoke some weed.
Yeah. So to take that, just to pause that moment right there, and I'll just combine it with my life, right? So what Jimmy is saying, and I'm listening, so all the viewers can put this in a better context as well. So myself, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, or at the time it was called manic depressant. So as a teenager, I was dealing with a lot of up and down emotions, right? As I got a little bit older, still in my late teens, I used to sell marijuana. A couple of my customers were like, "Yo, man, won't you stick around?" Because I was like the deal that, "Man, you're so cool, bro. Just hang out with us and shit like that." It wasn't even like hang out with us because you had the weed, because I only brought what I needed to bum off. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to get set up or get caught out there with more than what I had, right? So I'm like, all right, that's what's up. And they're like, "Yo, you don't smoke?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't burn." They're like, "You sell the shit, you don't even smoke?" I'm like, "Yeah, nah." So one day on the platform, waiting for the A train in Manhattan, one of my customers he was actually a really cool friend of mine. He came to New York with me, and he was like, "Dude, you gotta smoke this shit." He's like, "This is the fucking best. Like, it'll relax you." He goes, "I see how you are. Like, you're a cool dude, but you'll fucking, you'll get pissed off and flip or this, that, and the third. And I see you trying to maintain the shit." He's like, "Bro, this is gonna help you maintain it." And I was like, "You sure about that?" He's like, "Dude, I'm telling you." So I took a few hits. Wasn't really doing nothing for me. I was like, "That's probably not, I'm not doing it wrong." Later on that night, we did more. And when it finally kicked in for me, I was like, "Yo, this shit is awesome," right? So I say all that to say this. Now, years later, with plenty of experience with marijuana, I obviously stopped taking the white pills for my condition, right? For what they call a mental condition or whatever the hell it is, right? Because I realized that the same effect that they were trying to induce in me with the pills, I was getting out of marijuana. I smoked a little weed. I got calm. I was chill. Now, I could go to work functioning on high, but I wouldn't smoke like a Friday night blunt before work. You know what I'm saying? I'd smoke like a little hitter. I'd roll like a 1 inch or 2. Yeah, I'd roll like a 1 or 2 inch blunt, long blunt. All my friends were like, "That's a waste of paper, man. Fuck that. It's what I need." I just wake up like 2 hours before I had to go to work, smoke, take a shower, chill, get to work. I would still be buzzed, but I wouldn't be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" High, right? I'd have delivery jobs. I had all type of fucking jobs, and I'd be high. My boss would never know, he'd never smell it, never think it, and I was functionable. So again, I say all that to say that because I knew who I was, I knew how to smoke. I can't say I was on the strain because back in the day or even in the hood, you're just trying to get it. If it looks good, if it fucks you up, cool. So I would be like, it would be like every Friday night I would get my supply, right? I'd get my bud, an ounce, half an ounce, whatever it was at the time, and I'd smoke a fucking fatty, right? And that would always determine how I was gonna deal with that shit during the week. So if I smoked the fatty, like when you're smoking a blunt or a joint, you get halfway, you might be like, "Damn, nigga, I can't finish the shit." So you already know there's just some strong shit. I don't have to roll no crazy shit. And if I gotta smoke before I go to work, I know I'm just do a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Or if I smoke the whole blunt, I'm like, "Yo, I'm good, but it ain't really kill me." All right, now I know how to deal with it. So again, know who you are as a person. That way you know how to medicate, right? But shame on the fucking bud tenders, and we've had these conversations off the air, where it's like they fill in a spot, they call them state, they have a title, but they don't really know how to service that title. They don't have, a lot of these bud tenders don't have the same conditions we all have. They want to get home. They want that 35% THC to get fucked up and then wake up on their couch with fucking Doritos all over their fucking chest, right? Cool. But we also have to improve these dispensaries, like we've spoken about before. There has to be a database to ask you questions. Hey, what is it that you're looking for to get out of this medicine? You know what I'm saying? What is your do you have any? They could even be database say, are you diagnosed with anything? You know what I'm saying? Where you could have strains that are related to that, to those symptoms, to that need, to that medical need. Like, oh, I'm diagnosed with cancer. Okay, cool. Are you vomiting? Are you having trouble eating? Are you this, that, and third? Are you going through chemo? Boom. Okay, here are the strains that help with that. Do you have what they consider a medical condition with a mental condition, right? Because you want to shy away from that either. Yes, I suffer from schizophrenia. Okay, well, these are the strains that are recommended for that. You know what I'm saying? Now, consumers are going to be their own worst enemy, or they're going to be their own best friend. But at least with a great database and bud tenders that have more, because no one wants to really give out their own personal shit. They may be embarrassed. Bud tenders may not be the most, I should say, professional person. No offense to any bud tenders. If you are, gay, kudos to you. But what I'm saying is, on a digital platform, you don't have to deal with those type of embarrassing emotions. You know what I'm saying? And it allows the industry to improve in a way like that. You have to improve on the legislative way, but we also have to improve on the servicing industry as well. So again, if we have that database, we can narrow down certain things. We can help improve, and then people will have a better experience. And before you know it, it does improve that service part of the industry. So,
word of advice: have the patience to what's otherwise known as microdose, right, Jimmy?
right.
Whether that be tincture, whether that be edible, whether that be vaping, whether that be smoking flower, have the patience to microdose, sip on it, right? Because it's very, very important. Find your profile, and so ease into it. It is medicine. Don't see it as anything else, because these profiles in this extremely, extremely dynamic, complex species, right? Yeah. There's no one size fits all. So you've got to. I have a trick, guys, and I'm just going to put it out there. It's not for everybody, right? Yeah. It's for adults. But let's say it's a sativa, all right? Let's say all of a sudden you're smoking a sativa, and you probably shouldn't be partaking because you've got a certain persona, you've got a certain personality, you've got a certain experience that makes you, that races, right? That races in you, and it makes you uncomfortable. It's racy for you. What I do, and again, it's up to you guys, but what I do, I drink a beer. Since I'm a little kid, my uncle always told me, it was like, that's medicine, beer. And so it's like we look for our equilibrium, right? So if something's racy, I drink a beer. If I need another one, I drink another one. And so just a word of advice for those that can partake. If you ever, let's say you're a novice, you're a freshman, and all of a sudden you smoke something, you start racing. Bring yourself to equilibrium, whatever that may be, right? And so to me, it's the medicine that I get from a beer. Maybe it's just the calming effect, the soothing, something that I know already that brings me back. So everybody has their own thing.
Yeah, that's great. I used to drink milk, or I would drink more water.
Yeah,
but your best thing is know yourself first, and know what you're smoking. Like if you just got it, you just don't roll no crazy badass shit when you got shit to do. Like if you got a pipe and just a small little nug in there, boom, take it like a 3-4 liter quitter, and that's trust me, that's gonna put you where you need to be, because everything out of that is over the fence, bro. You just hit the grand slam, and you ain't gonna be able to circle the bases. You know what I'm saying? Like you want to be able to circle the bases, bro.
All you needed was a lay down bunt.
Yeah, you just needed a bunt to win the game. You fucking hit a grand slam. Kudos to your stats, but just so you know. Oh man, yeah. So pretty much, it's been great conversations for sure. Great knowledge, great insight. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully, people have been able to take in, and this will help someone in their life. It's a plan. It is a gift that you just have to know. Just think of it as this: you may love paprika, but you're not going to put the whole bottle into whatever you're cooking. And everything has to be in some sort of level of moderation. It's the same thing with this flower. I have plenty of experience where I have overdone it, and I'm crawling on the floor, and I'm like, fuck, I got to get to work, or I got other shit I was supposed to do, and now I can't do it or whatever, and I got to pull myself together. The point is just don't get overexcited with this plan. Moderate yourself with it. If if it's a Friday night, you ain't got shit to do, get it. Drunk high is a great feeling too. But when you do have shit to do, or you feel like this is the only thing that you want to do in life, and now like if your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or your boyfriend want to do shit, and you're like, nah, I'd much rather stay home and just smoke all day, then you got to say to yourself, you're allowing this to kill your life, and you allow anything to kill your life. So don't do all that shit. Take what you need to get nice, and then enjoy your life. You know what I'm saying? You'll hear less bullshit from people around you. And also, this type of mentality also helps the movement, right? So with that being said, like if everyone is doing this shit, like when every other car drives by and they fucking smell like weed, and you already know that they're smoking in that shit, you're not helping the cause. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're really not, because for one, it's still going to be illegal for you to drive under the influence. And here you are fucking driving under the influence, right? You can't really smell the beverages. People are doing it, but fucking weed, unfortunately, it has that odor, right? So they're going to continue to clamp down. And before you know it, there could be more checkpoints. There could be more penalties, this, that. They're all because you just have to do it while you drive, or, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you take a hit, I'm not here to advocate driving under influence. I have been there myself. But again, I'm not going to get completely shit-faced where I got to crawl to my car to get into it. You know what I'm saying? If I'm mellow and I'm chill, me personally, I can function that way. I'm not advocating for it, but the point is, don't draw so much negative attention to this movement. We need all the positive momentum to continue to push this shit forward. You know what I'm saying? So that's where I'm at with that. You know what I'm saying? And just everybody, just be responsible, be patient. This thing is going to happen. If you're in a state that is everything's illegal, look at what your options are. There's a lot of THCA out there, most likely in the state that you're in, that is legal. Enjoy it. Trust me when I tell you, enjoy it. But again, push the movement forward. Don't fucking get caught under the influence under that shit, because that also, it puts a light on the underground. You know what I'm saying? And before you know it, they'll start shutting that shit down too, which I'm sure at some point they will. You know what I'm saying? Be responsible. Let's show them that we really are better than, and no offense to anyone that love alcohol, but let's show people that we are better than that alcohol prohibition movement.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Because we know that we are, and we can do it. So let's just keep that moving. And with that being said, make sure you subscribe to the channel on YouTube, and also make sure you follow us at 420theBuzz on Instagram.
And I think we all come from different experiences, because there's a plethora of experiences that are out there. So I hope that, the listeners, they at least, grabbed onto one of us. They know who, each one of us is. And, they take information from each one of us differently, only because we probably relate to them a little bit more. They relate to one of us. That's good. I just wanted to say that, know that there's bad actors out there. Don't be a bad actor, right? Represent. This is so important. I live in Florida now, and we just Florida's a complex state. There's ideologies that are extreme on one side to the other. Be an adult, man.
Absolutely.
Just let this plant bring us all. Let this be the middle that brings us all together. This is where the piece is at. It really is.
Yep. As being a Floridian myself as well, we just want Florida to pop off the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And 420theBuzz is here to try to make that happen. You know what I'm saying? We got our brother, the Archbishop Jimmy, over there, who has created history in Oklahoma, and we're just trying to bring history home to everybody. So with that being said, keep God in your life first, make the right decisions, of course, and till the next time. You already know what it is.
You are tuned in to 420. Cheers.
Salute.
You already know. That line of the beat. A mí me gusta la mota. Saca la bolsa. We're breaking up the bud and we smoking on some bomb ass weed. We smoking on some bomb ass weed.